very small, and the skirt very wide. It was all very thought through. It was real refinement.
Christian Dior died in 1957. He was 52, but his successor had already been chosen. Just before his death, he'd expressed his admiration for a very promising new talent in the company, Yves Saint Laurent. He was to follow in Dior's footsteps until he began to work under his own name in 1960. From then until 1989, all Dior's models were chosen by Marc Boin. It was also during this time that Dior moved into perfume. The years flew by. By now, the House of Dior was creating a new style of luxury for the 90s. But the hand of the original genius can still be seen at work. It's almost as though Christian Dior's spirit lives through other creators, such as GianFranco Ferre. Ferre had his own collection and was already very successful when the Dior company asked him to become their fashion designer in 1989. His brief was not an easy one: to create a style for today while remaining true to the 50s and the years of the great master. Ferre's task was to become one of reincarnation.
Je pense que être nommé, en tout cas avoir eu la demande.
I think that to be chosen to work for Dior is a unique opportunity for any creator in the world. Because Dior is a name which carries a lot of allure, one of a paramount place in the history of French fashion. Personally, I like adventures, so I accepted immediately and realized that the beginning would not be easy. But I was so interested in the history, and I don't think anyone in the world would have turned down the opportunity to be a part of that history.
Je pense qu'aucune personne au monde pouvait la refuser.
He studied Dior's style very closely. He wanted to create a Dior style for today, and he succeeded marvelously. He'd brought back into fashion the dress, evening dresses. He maintained the style, that's certainly true.
Ferre's clothes are extremely refined. It's no coincidence that this Italian romantic started as an architect, and he uses the techniques of architecture when creating new fashions. The similarity with Dior doesn't stop here. Ferre's collections for Dior are designed to sell. All models are created with consumer groups and specific market segments in mind. The old Mr. Dior wasn't just a great artist, he was also a shrewd businessman. He was the first to launch the idea of franchising. He expanded the company to cover accessories and knew how to combine art with making money.
I believe that the collections were very well organized. They seemed terribly light, airy, and always elegant. But in fact, it was very studied. There was a number of models for the so-called ready-to-wear collections. There were a certain number of models shown only to journalists. And then extravagant models for those who wanted that style. But all of this was very orchestrated.
In any event, for me it has been very important to know what motivated Mr. Dior to make certain choices and then to move forward in the same way and live in today's world. Not to feel forced to use the themes that made him a myth and bring them into today's fashion world as a retro style. I believe that it is important to be a part of the world in which we live, to create structures like an ambassador responding to today's demands, and to add to them the same eccentricity that Mr. Dior did. I found that he had a real English sense of humor, and this came out in the way he made bows, hats, and other such things. And I like to move in the same spirit.
This was a very delicate task for the Italian designer. It's no easy thing to follow in Dior's footsteps, and in the Paris fashion world, it's by no means readily accepted that a foreigner become the figurehead of one of the leading French houses. As long as everything runs smoothly, he is celebrated. But any tiny mishap is noted, and all the critical observers are only too eager to discover if Ferre has enough creative energy to stay at the top in Paris with Dior, as well as create his own GianFranco Ferre collections. The pressure is enormous, but then Ferre is a pretty cool customer.
I split my week into two. The first day in Milan, I'm completely Ferre, and I work hard at not being Dior at all. When I'm at Dior on the other days, I'm completely Dior. I have two different teams working for Dior and Ferre, and there is never any interaction between the two. In any case, when we speak of Dior, we speak of an emanation of the French style and French fashion. There is a very feminine side, very eccentric in a soft way. The Ferre style is more futuristic. It is a woman with less on her shoulders, a woman with a very strict and determined tradition. You could perhaps say that the Ferre woman is very efficient and very arbitrary.
Très efficace et très immédiate. La femme Dior est le plus subtile.
Avenue Montaigne in Paris, Dior's headquarters since 1946. This is where you can run into French film stars doing their shopping. Here are Jean-Claude Brialy and Jean Marais. But ordinary shoppers and tourists flock here in their thousands, tens of thousands even. Everything is still just as Dior would have liked it. Actually, the great master is looking on from his corner. Fashion is the flagship of the Christian Dior group. Clothing accounts for a turnover of $1 billion. That might seem like a lot, but even so, fashion is the baby of the Christian Dior empire. From its very early days, Dior chose safety and diversification. On the heels of haute couture came normal fashion wear, then stockings, later lingerie, and finally accessories and men's clothing. The name Dior was used on sunglasses, jewelry, luxury household goods, and much more. But what turned out to be the most important diversification was perfume. And even this exceptionally important strategic decision was taken in this building in 1947 by the same all-encompassing figure. Perfume is reasonably cheap to produce, and the profit margins can be impressive. The main problem is the enormous competition. Advertising pressure and name awareness are very important for these top-class companies. Dior has both of these, of course. The prestige of its fashion creations over the years, the fashion house's reputation, the media attendance at its fashion shows. All these elements contribute to the sales of other Dior products. Fashion is the motor that drives everything else. Fashion represents prestige. Perfumes and beauty products, sales, according to the head of Dior Perfumes.
L'importance de la haute couture du point de vue du phénomène initiatique.
There can be no doubt as to the importance of haute couture to demonstrate initiative, creative skills, and a sense of exploration. On top of which, the prêt-à-porter collections with the vast range of accessories all make the clothes part of the business quite profitable. But the most viable part of the business for the group, the house of Dior, are the perfumes and beauty products. Economical, profitable, no doubt. And this, of course, goes for any luxury business like ours.
De chaque maison du même type que nous.
Christian Dior today leads the way in industry trends, and business is its mainspring. But the company tries to create a balance by accentuating its spiritual values. The consumer needs to know that Dior is more than just a bottle of scent.
Et il serait absurde de lire notre exercice tout simplement
It
comme
would be ridiculous to rely purely on the industrial manufacture of our products for our success.
nous produisons des valeurs.
We are much more than a production house. We produce values, the spiritual values of our public. They may not know how to express these, but we do know how to create and reveal them.
Ce type de révélation.
Photographs for Dior decides on how the brand image for Dior products should be presented to the consumer and is, alongside Ferre and Roger, the third reincarnation of the genius of Christian Dior.
La dame qui porte le nom de Dior, c'est une
The Dior woman is an exceptional woman. She is extraordinary. She hasn't aged.
Elle est encore plus belle.
She is even more beautiful and even younger than ever, despite the fact that she was created in 47. She doesn't know how to grow old.
Elle s'est toujours mariée avec son
She constantly adapts. She's wonderful. She's always in step with the times. She still has the look of the 50s, but the feel of the year 2000.
Est-ce que tu peux les remonter juste ici? Un peu de lotion, tu sais, pour que ça repique un peu, comme on va faire la beauté maintenant.
As well as the photography, Tien is also responsible for makeup. Every season, he chooses the style and colors that will compose the Dior collection. His creative and business responsibilities are enormous.
Alors, so much is hair, no? Tu as besoin de tes séchoirs? Là, c'est joli, ça, non? Voilà, c'est bien la volume, là. Tu donnes un petit coup de séchoir.
De séchoir, oui.
Le maquillage dans les dernières années, j'essaie de chercher toujours autour de la lumière.
I've tried to work light into the makeup collection of the last few years.
Vraies couleurs.
Because for me, colors of makeup should no longer match the color of the clothes a woman is wearing. They are not even true colors. They do not even reflect the colors she is wearing. The collection dates back to the 50s, when eyelids had to be matched up to the color of a blouse or a jacket. But today we look to bathe a woman in the lights of the day. So we create a lot of shades around the basic colors: brown, chestnut, beige, gray and black. These for me are the colors of evening, night, day and dawn. They are the tones that the skin reflects. So we want to sell shades that are in harmony with the times of the day. That's how we bring skin closer to nature. What you see when it doesn't work is a girl with dark makeup when her skin is pink. It isn't natural. When it's dark, her skin is lighter, like the light of the moon. That's because she is in harmony with the colors of that hour. If it's warm, bright sunshine, we need to see more orange in the lips, perhaps, or more pink on the cheeks. We don't want to see chestnut or gray. No, all makeup colors need to be in harmony with the colors of the weather and time of day, especially for today's woman.
Tien's ideas end up in the shops after their long journey through the assembly line of Dior's factory. All the products follow the same route, from powder compacts and mascaras to lipsticks, which are made in vast quantities from cocoa butter. There's also a color laboratory in this factory where specialists work constantly to find the right color collection for Dior, one that will reflect the spirit of the day. Not too many new colors and not too many of the old ones.
Notre façon de travailler est de tenir compte de la mode, bien entendu, c'est ce qui fait notre réputation. We've earned our reputation from our fashions, but also we're an international house with branches around the world. So it would be out of the question in 1993 to create a collection purely for the French without paying heed to international trends and local cultures. Here's an example. If we are preparing foundation cream, we wouldn't make the same color for the Japanese, who have a very pale skin, as for South Americans, who have more tan skin. Donc voilà notre façon de travailler.
Eyeshadow, lipsticks, face powders and bottles, everything is carefully thought out to the last detail. What exactly has to be thought out? What the woman of tomorrow is thinking about, what she's sensitive to, what clothes she'll wear, and what she'll wear with these clothes. All is decided here, before the consumer has even thought about the question, let alone the answer. The influence of fashion on these decisions cannot be denied. There's growing consultation between the two different branches on the look for each new season. Clothes will determine the face and vice versa. The self-portrait of Ferre isn't on the wall for nothing.
I have the chance to assist at all the haute couture fashion shows, which is an extraordinary source of inspiration. It's true, I love constantly having his designs around me. And the last design, here in the shadows, is a superb red, and it goes very well with our latest makeup tints. It was worn by a black model, which was fantastic.
And so the circle is complete, just as Christian Dior may have imagined it. He was the first French haute couturier to have such a vision, and his legacy is here for all to see. The Dior Group has an annual turnover of $4 billion and is a shareholder in the luxury goods holding company LVMH, together with Louis Vuitton and the champagne company Moët Hennessy. If one excludes the automobile industry, Dior has the highest turnover in the luxury goods business.
Oui, elle est ensemble avec...
The creation of clothes and haute couture is no longer the driving force of this business, certainly not from a turnover and profit point of view. But who can think of Dior without thinking of the glamour and extravagance of its haute couture? The world of Dior was built on tradition and standing, and these are created by the hands of the masters of beauty, the masters of yesteryear and of today.
Je l'avais laissé de boutonner parce qu'il fallait
Il faut qu'elle aille. Ok. Go.
Ça fait pas comme des tableaux?
Patterns prints for black. He says he did it because he had to prove to himself that he could. He took his inspiration from the spirit of centuries-old Spanish painters. Lacroix tells me he was especially inspired by the 17th and 18th century works of Diego Velázquez and the genius of Francisco Goya.
I wanted to prove that I was able of working with black and only black because I'm not tired of being successful with color or being well known for print and mix and match. And I wanted to prove that I was able of doing something with just black velvet and silk.
Christian, you've mixed lots of different black fabrics.
But it was very, very simple, and there were a lot of details because mixing black needed to have different shades of black, velvet, satin, and different silk. And I wanted a very romantic mood with a very special music, and time by time, a very bright touch of shocking pink, or just a red suit, or just a blue thing, with a lot of pastel accessories for having it sweeter, cooler.
You did day clothes, of course, as well as evening.
Of course, a lot of evenings, but now the customers are evolving, and we have more and more European and French customer. And nowadays, we noticed that this season, a lot of French women prefer to have just one suit, but one of a kind on measurement, than 10 ready-to-wear deluxe suits.
And in this case, it was a black suit.
Of course.
What shapes were the suit?
They are not high-waisted, but a little bit 60s with bell or tulip skirts, and mixing everything together, a detail from the 17th century with something like the next millennium as we imagine it, with diamonds on zippers and techniques detail.
What is the most dramatic part of the evening?
I did everything in black and people liked it, but of course they picked up the one and only shocking pink dress. It was the most successful. It's lipstick pink, very simple, with just a piece of satin around your body, but it seems to be just breathing, but it's very complicated inside.
That's Christian Lacroix with his fall couture collection. Still to come, the four-corner colourful brocade raincoats with fur trims and fur with ribbon inlays. They make the strongest statements in the fall collection New York designer Bob Mackie does for Corniche. Mackie uses high-style mink, chinchilla and sable. He also takes a new approach to shearling in rich tones of beige and camel. Mackie says in the 12 years since he began designing furs, much has changed.
When I started designing furs, we did a lot of mink coats, a lot of fox coats, a lot of Fisher and sable. Now it's gotten to the point that women have those mink coats and have those basic coats that they wear during the winter, and they want alternatives. They want little things to wear with their pants and things to wear in the winter with their jeans, with casual clothes, with very dressy clothes, like when you go out for an evening to a party, a cocktail party, a ball, whatever.
Opulence is key for Mackie. Apart from the brocade raincoats, he also threads fur with rich ribbons.
They really look like something that could have come right out of Russia a century ago. It's just kind of amazing, and they look right with today's clothes, and they kind of look wonderful over a pair of pants.
How important is shearling this season?
Shearling, I think, will always be important as long as people are wearing jeans and casual clothes. It's one of those things that you can knock around with, and you don't feel you're wearing this, enormously expensive jacket.
Tell me about color. How important is it?
Well, colors has gotten more important in furs. We've started using a lot more color. I'm not a fan of chartreuse and hot pink and all that for fur, but I do like red. I like deep greens. I like these dark navy blues, caramel colors that aren't necessarily natural, but there's something warm and kind of cozy about them.
What is more important, coats or jackets?
Well, for us, it seems to be jackets seem to be more important, although we've done plenty of coats. And the woman, when it's really snowing and cold, she wants a coat. She wants it to come down long enough and cover her legs and be really cozy and warm and keep the wind and cold out.
That's Bob Mackie in the Fall Corniche Fur Collection. Still ahead, the house of Count Giuseppe Tasca in the heart of Sicilian wine country. Big Prince. They set the favourite black and white as well. He likes both one- and two-piece suits, but doesn't stop there. Glass comes up with some of the sexiest cover-ups of the season. He makes skin-tight cigarette pants to go with tiny sweaters that top off these sea and poolside outfits.
It seems strange to me, but true that in swimsuits and swimwear, people really want color. They want prints and they want color. So anyway, you know me in color. I love the idea. We have a rather good size group, however, black or in leopard, but it's the color that will really dominate the show.
You've done geometrics, you've done flowers, and you've done ginghams.
Classics. You know, I really feel strongly that I derived the collection from my couture collection. And I'm hoping for a much younger gal to wear some of these suits are really quite extreme and daring, and that of course, for a younger woman. But there are suits, of course, that would be for the couture customer as well.
You've also used metallics.
Yes, there's some glitter, always some glitter, some gold, and some cut velvet things. Hold on a minute, let me just show you this. I think that's a particularly pretty fabric. That will appeal to my couture customer.
Cut velvet, coupe de velour.
Coupe de velour on swimsuit fabrics, very new.
That's one of the newest fabrics.
Well, I think it is, but I think all of the metallics are new. And of course, things that have a suggestion of pattern, of texture.
What's the new cut in the one piece?
Well, it's still a maillot. It isn't a revolutionary. The one doesn't change the body, so there isn't really a new cut, except that it's one that has to be flattering to the figure and to a variety of figures.
You believe very strongly in black and white?
I don't think there's anything more effective for a swimsuit or for clothes, black and white.
Have you done many cover-ups?
Yes, of course. There are all sorts, various sarong ones, sort of one-shouldered things. But there's a good choice of even saris.
What's the sexiest suit in the collection, Bill?
Little bikinis that have just two little straps here. It's not a thong, mind you, but it's very, very revealing, and it is sexy.
That's Bill Blass with his holiday swimwear collection. That's Style for this week. Next week, I'll be back with more exciting fashion news. We'll begin with the fashion-forward Gucci collection that had all of Milan talking about designer Tom Ford. In Paris, the status jackets of that other star, Antwerp's Andy Moulemeister, and the luxurious fabrics and high-style cuts in the outfits of London designer John Galliano. Until then, thank you for joining me with Style.
Metropolitan Museum of Art exhibition is so impressionable.
One's first impression of Madame Grey, and certainly mine, was